All you hoes, you and your mammy and your granny too. I'm sick of this shit. All you hoes don't give a damn what you wanna do.
They like the chaos.
They like the chaos. So when you're able to
chaos,
let that chaos reign with
the chaos,
let that chaos reign with
the chaos
let that chaos reign with
must reign. Yes. Welcome, guys. Welcome to another edition, another live stream, another podcast here on the Chaos Reign Show. I am Chaos Reign here. As you guys come in, please like the stream, share the stream, and if you're not subscribed to the Chaos Reign Show, what you waiting for? Subscribe to the channel. As you see the title, you see the thumbnail. Oh, we have to have this conversation. Oh, yes, we do. Oh, yes, we do. And before doing the stream, I was trying to rehash some old content that I tried to pull up in regards to data. I had some issues for some reason. I'll present what I have so far, but that'll be during the conversation. But that's what y'all here for. Y'all here to watch the video. We'll do commentary like always. Other than that, share a stream. Let's enjoy. Oh, and why? This is a very important conversation for those that come across this content, because there's been some floating around that I've noticed with content outside social media that black mothers make better children, biracial children, than black fathers. We'll put this to the acid test. No further ado, let's go. Fair use, enjoy.
Between biracials who have a black mother and biracials who have a white mother, right? And, it's a topic, very heavy amongst the interracial dating community, the swirl community, women who, lay up with Europeans. They like to make this argument to justify their intimate activities and proclivities, right? Justifying why they lay up with Europeans and try to add some type of pseudoscience to justify the behavior, saying that, well, the biracial with the black mother versus the white mother, it's different, right? But they never are based in any historical reality. So, on this channel, we always gonna come with the historical facts. But
before Mr. Destiny goes into this, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this clearly. We don't have to go too much far into understanding the dynamics between black ladies and non-black men. We already know what it is, because we all know from not only history, but we see first time in life that a lot of black women are showing their admiration and proclivity, affection for white skin. So obviously they're going to, justify or make excuse why they should do it, even to the point to say that they do make better mixed kids. This is some new information that I've been hearing, but this is what's circulating. There's always an old saying by an old elder, and it goes like this when they ask the same question about, why black women want mixed kids.
21 years military, 13 years overseas since 1994. All the white men I knew during my service military with black baby mamas would never put on child support. Explain this reality, black woman. No, they got their reparations, a mixed baby and a white dude, right? They got their reparations, a mixed baby and a white dude, right? They got their reparations, a mixed baby and a white dude, right? They got their reparations, a mixed baby and a white dude, right?
You a goddamn
fucked up. Yeah, say more. That's why they do it. Let's continue, Reese.
Anyways, I want you guys to go to this person's channel, let them know that I responded to their argument and I've waged a counter argument and because I think that they're just spreading ignorance in the community. And you don't got to do all that just because you want to lay up with white men, baby. You could just lay up with white men because it's a free country. You don't got to add no pseudoscience to back up what you already want to do to justify your activities and proclivities, right? You don't got to do all that, baby. Anyway, I'm going to jump into some clips before.
Yes, but they got to add the pseudoscience because by default, the whole end game is to come back to you. And it's beyond reach backing at this point. I must sleep, be throat goats, ride on the probacious, and I mean probacious. Y'all know what I'm about to play. Y'all know what is coming. Be on the where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh, here it is. Here's the carousel. Yeah. And after all that screwing and slurping and being throat goats, they come back to you, black man, for salvation, especially if you got your ish together. Let's continue.
Into today's topic and my commentary. Let's go.
Make clear, especially when it comes to my videos talking about mixed race, biracial people, light skinnedness, colorism, all of that sorts.
And the problem with this lady here, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to repeat this again. Women, black women, stop with the bull rings. You look unattractive. You look like a bull with a piece of iron on your nose. If you understand the history why you have that stupid thing on your nose and really understand the deep history, you will not go out your way put that on your goddamn nose. Personally. If you notice that thing on your nose, to be very honest, that right there is to make you disfigured, ugly, so you don't get captured by other groups of men. Because we look at during the so-called enslavement process of the end of the 1400s going 1500s, they just don't take any prisoner of war with the Africans selling some of our people into it. Because remember, there was warfare all over the globe in every tribe known to man. And usually once you have lost the war, you will become prisoners of war to the point that at that time, and there are many books that talk about this, and we got to be honest with the history of why it is that you are a prisoner of war and they sell you to the highest bidder. And because of that process, it created a vacuum of slaves, a slave trade that was unimaginable from other groups of men. Now, I would say it goes beyond the Islamic slave trade, which I can't go into. So let's keep playing. Let's keep going. Let's go.
I have a biracial mother myself. So I think in a way, the reason why I'm so interested when it comes to different topics of this sort, especially surrounding colorism, is because my mom is the only biracial within her family. My mom is Liberian and Lebanese.
All right, so I guess just to give some context for this content creator, her grandmother was throwing it back for the dusty Lebanese, right? You know them Lebanese that be all over our countries, Lebanese in Ivory Coast, Lebanese in Sierra Leone, Lebanese in Haiti, Lebanese in the Dominican Republic, Lebanese in Argentina, Lebanese over here, Lebanese in Brazil, Lebanese all over the place. So her grandmother threw it back for the Lebanese. See, my grandmother didn't do that. I have a black father, black mother, black grandfather, black grandmother on both sides, and on both sides of their family, also black great-grandmother, great-grandfather, right? So, you know, I'm coming from the perspective of people who actually keep it inside the family, not throwing it back for the Lebanese, right? Anyway, let's continue.
When you really think about it, these biracial children who are predominantly being raised by white mothers don't really have a tune for their black culture, their black side. Because when you think about it, in the anti-blackness that can come with their father even going after a white woman in the first place, do you really think it's going to be on the dad to actually teach their child any black history?
Understand the difference is.
But black woman is not teaching no history. Oh, have y'all been noticing most black children are reading under a certain level? So what are you really passing down? You only pass down, and this is just a fair, honest truth. If we want to hold that as factual, you pass down control, matriarchal mindsets. Hell, we can go as far as feminine mindsets to your children, and rinse, wash, repeat. They repeat the process, even to the point where your children that are a byproduct of a non-black man, your children will date and swear out more. in general. And that's just the honest truth and fact that's going out here right now. And we all know from history, before black men even got the chance to entertain dating and marry out in America, because we here in America, most of the children that were mixed and made by mixing was still absent from white males and black females. So I'm trying to say, what you pass now, you only create a buffer of mulattoes that are going to be confused and cause more confusion within the black collective from your womb alone. So what she said did not really make no sense, and it shouldn't make no sense because they don't understand general history, which they don't anyway. Let's go.
It's black mothers instill black principles into a biracial child, regardless. Black mothers also establish racial self-esteem. They validate their blackness even though they're biracial. Black fathers do not instill culture and blackness and identity into their biracial children in the same way.
Typically, if you go abroad, people are going to know that you're black. And this is why I say it is so important. And I don't understand why racist white women will continue to have biracial children, but will literally hate them. And then will hate the daughters even more because deep down they have a secret hatred for black women. Mind you, that Zoom interview was damn near 3 years ago. So this is something that I've been talking about and been trying to educate people on because it does all root back to slavery when you really think about it. So and I think what they're trying to allude to is like when you say, oh, I'm talking back, you think a black mom would ever allow that? Don't get me wrong, I was a badass child, okay? And even when I would say stuff back, you just gotta learn how to shut the fuck up with black moms sometimes. I'm genuinely serious. If your mama's in there yelling at you and she going and going, just shut the fuck up. That's what I've learned. That's what my sisters have told me. Just shut up. When mom is going on one of her tirades or whatever the fuck you want to call it, shut up.
White mom biracials. Let's talk about it. If you're ethnically biracial black, that means that you either have a white mom and a black dad, or you have a black mom and a white dad. And those combinations mean totally different things, right? Societally, culturally, among the black community. One is perceived as very positive, and the other can be perceived as negative. If you're a black mom biracial, that typically means you were raised in the culture, you were raised to be respectful, you were raised to like not center yourself among black people. The opposite is true. If you're called a white mom biracial, that oftentimes means that you do center yourself, that you're not like accustomed to your culture, that you don't perceive yourself as black. Before we go further, I think it is important to note that this conversation of white mom versus black mom biracial is framed through motherhood, which is an inherently kind of misogynistic idea. It's this idea that mothers are the only one that sustain tradition and that the fathers are kind of just like left out of this conversation.
Y'all already know me. I talk about the one drop rule so much. I talk about it because that's literally where colorism started and all of these hierarchies within the black community itself. This is why it's important to talk about things like this.
All right, we back. Now, I've touched on this topic a few times in the past, and I've mentioned it before. Anybody trying to push that colonial propaganda, because that's where this mentality came from. That's where this talking point originated from. This idea that the biracial with the white father is superior to the biracial with the black father. That comes from directly from the European colonists, the plantations of North America, South America, and the Caribbean. The idea that if you're going to create a biracial child, you got to make sure they have a white father, right? Got to make sure you get the biracial with the white father. That comes straight from the European plantations, right? So if you are going around in 2026 spreading the ideology that was born on the European plantations, in my opinion, that's very shameful. That's extremely shameful. But today,
it is worse than shameful. It's diabolically unhinged. It is repulsive. And not only is repulsive, the Caucasian man been had access to you for 300 to 400 years. The fuck you talking about? And I'm going to be very blunt and honest. What the hell are you talking about? He been creating mixed babies. And your mixed baby don't get no benefit or anything of any stability or any higher status in the society that is 70 or more percent more Caucasoid. Personally. That's just a front to advocate to go around, have random access to interracial sex. And you know, I know a lot of people complain about the black man personally and what he does with his penis. I understand it. But really truly, black men are only in control what he allows to be controlled if he is given the opportunity to depend where he is. So, you know, obviously, I'm trying to see what the comparison. Anyhow, let's keep going.
We're going to have a historical discussion. We're going to talk about these so-called biracials with the black mothers and their colonial origins, right? We got to talk about that because people who make this argument, they're not well-versed in history. They don't understand the catastrophe and calamities that biracials with black mothers have waged against the black world, or the bloodshed that has been spilled because of biracials with black mothers trying to uphold and defend the interests of their white fathers, right? So today on this channel, on this video, we're going to discuss that. We're going to discuss something that never gets discussed in any classroom, in any panel, in any debate. This right here gonna be the real hidden history, right? Anyway, I'm going to discuss various regions. I'm going to go to the United States. We're going to go to Latin America. We're going to go to the Caribbean, and we're going to examine the history and the origins of these so-called biracials with white fathers. I'm not going to say black mothers because that's how they try to reframe the argument. We're going to call it the biracials with the white fathers because that's what they are. The biracials with the white fathers, the European fathers, the slave-owning fathers. That's what we're going to talk about today. And I think I'm well placed to speak on this topic because as somebody who was raised by a dignified and successful black man, I thank God every day that my mother chose the man that she chose. And I believe that if she chose a white man, that would be disastrous. Do you think that I would be on this microphone as intelligent and well-spoken and well-versed as I am if I was raised by a white man? I don't think so. I would be sounding like Brandon Tatum or Anton Daniels or any of these so-called black conservatives.
Yeah, damn, he said Anton Daniels. And they forgot Anton Daniels and Opposite Tatum do have black fathers. But the problem between these dudes and the conversation we have right now is these dudes, unfortunately, are westernized. They're American born. Now, I'm not sure. Well, actually, it's brother Desley. Yeah, Desley is American. So obviously, you got to understand it's a mindset with certain black men. Not all black men think the same, operate the same. So regardless if you have black father, which is important, but it's always the mindset, how you've been raised and groomed. Do you love and respect blackness? Is the biggest question. And some of them do, but let's be honest, some couldn't find the black woman they want, especially Officer Tatum. So obviously, Officer Tatum is going to, date, marry out, and he's going to coattail to the audience that watches his channel, which is mostly non-black people. So I understand Officer Tatum. Now, Mr. Daniels, he's a little different character. He's a man that's always following the algorithm, so he's always trying to follow what's trending because he need to make this Google check. Not knocking him, but the game is the game. But other than that, you as a man, Mr. Destiny, you're a different person. You want to see the upliftment, empowerment of black people, black men especially. So your perspective is going to be much more different and more broad and make more sense than a lot of these cats you name because they really don't see the vibe because they're there for a check. It is the honest truth. But let's keep going because that's not the purpose of this stream. What purpose is, this identity issue, this nonsense women are spreading, which really is garbage. Let's go.
The grifters always kissing white ass, right? A large part of who I am was based due to my black father, right? So I hate the fact that the black father is always discounted in these conversations as if the black father is something that's optional. Like the black father is not a requirement, right? You don't need the black father. The black mother is enough. We could take the white father and we could replace him with the white father. So like I say, man, we have to have some real discussions about, the real colonial origins of these so-called biracials with the white fathers and really shine a light on that history, right? Because a lot of people are trying to rewrite the history, reframe the narrative, right? Paint the white father as this positive figure, paint the white father as this aspirational figure, paint the white father as this beneficial ally that could be part of the black family, all because these women have a personal desire to date interracially. And they don't got to do all that to date interracially. You could just date interracially without trying to rewrite some fake history or none of that. You don't got to do all that. Anyway, like I said, we're going to start in the United States and we're going to go to various different regions in the so-called the New World where the European colonists was going around creating biracial children, right? So in the United States, right, this idea that, the biracial with the white father, he's going to be more in tune with the black culture. And, the black mother's going to pass down the black culture with her white man, right? She's going to be laying up, kissing the white man, making food for the white man. And then at the same time, she's going to pass down the revolutionary black culture to the mixed race offspring.
Delusional. Guys, hit the like button, man. If you subscribe to the channel, subscribe. As you know, we are up in the vertical scene of things. If you're on your cell phone, it's gonna be more easier to watch. You know how it is. we always do vertical up in here. Sometimes we use regular format, but vertical is such more inclined. You could see everything. You could see the nice little AI sister on the right. You could see the AI sister on the left with the European colonizer. You know, it is so trained. You know, when women see this, especially black, when they see this picture, they get so comfortable, they get happy. They have a smile on their face when they see black women with non-black men. I don't know why it is. I think because it's just a slave. It's like a slave image in their head that they fantasize and they drool over. I think that's why they like this image, in my opinion. But what I know.
Even though there's no documented history of this ever occurring, right? Now, in the United States,
you're never gonna see no document history because it's still a justification to get on their knees to pop out some nice little mixed babies, you know, and then act so that you are in proximity of whiteness. Like literally. That's what it is. That's what it boils down. Let's go.
We had things such as the Blue Vein Society. Take a look up on the screen. The Blue Vein Society, exclusive social groups of light-skinned African Americans in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, particularly in the post-Civil War northern United States cities, and the members were defined by having light skin enough to show the blue veins, and often using this as a mechanism for colorism to distinguish themselves from and assert superiority over the dark-skinned black population, right? So just like anywhere else where the white man created his biracial children, they had more of an attachment to their father's side of the family. They wanted to gain proximity to their father's side of the family and their father's culture. They wanted to keep the family light-skinned. They wanted to maintain that proximity. They didn't want to get too dark, and they definitely didn't want proximity to their mother's side of the family or them black-ass people, right? So this was not unique to the United States. This happened all over this side of the planet where the white man was creating his biracial kids. He created a bunch of self-hating biracial motherfuckers. That's what it is. That's what happened. That's the facts. So now y'all trying to rewrite the history for the white man, right? You trying to rewrite the history because y'all want to lay up with the white man. It's truly a shame. It's truly a shame. But even besides the so-called the Blue Vein Society, even down in New Orleans, which, you know, New Orleans was a hotbed for, interracial dating, interracial mixing, interracial relations. And of course, we know Louisiana changed hands between the Spanish, the French, and the Americans, right? So down in Louisiana, you had something that was called plaçage, right? Plaçage was an extra legal recognized system of concubinage in the 18th and 19th century in the French and Spanish American colonies, where wealthy white men entered into common law marriages with free women of color. These relationships, or mariage de la main gauche, provided women with property, financial security, and social stability for their children, often existing alongside yet distinct from slavery, right? Now, I want to jump into this research paper entitled The Color of Intimacy, Marriage, Passing, and the Legal Strategies of Afro-Creole Women in Antebellum New Orleans, right? Let's jump into it. The growth of the free people of color as a demographic reflect gender imbalances among European colonists and enslaved laborers. The low numbers of European women present in the Americas led the European colonists to sexually pursue enslaved indigenous and African women. The women and their mixed-race children generally outpaced the men in terms of manumission rates in Spanish and French colonies. Now, what did that mean? That mean that during that time, y'all was laying up with the white man to get free, and the black man was on the field. The black man was in the field getting beat, and y'all was laying up with the white man getting free, right? That's what happened in Antebellum, New Orleans, right? Laying up with the white man, popping out mixed race children, and the black man was still on the plantation, and y'all was getting free, getting your freedom papers with the white man, right?
And the sad thing about the Louisiana Purchase back in those 1800s up to then, you know, some of the women were already black. Some already came in, maybe mixed already, possibility, you know, because there's a vast history of the New Orleans women at the time that it would make sense that they would be laying up on there, you know, because they are the white man's children by default, unfortunately. My black mother's offspring, you know, no influence, nothing of passing out anything, but it sure as hell will give access to that booty, that womb, and keep popping up, you know, nice little half devils, or they want to call them half breed devils. But black women don't mind it, you know, because some of them at the time, if they came off our mixed offspring rate, they'll identify more as white. And they're not identified. Most black women will say, you know, this be like, you know, identify as them, so you're less Negroid, and they still treat them the same way, you know, as side piece, you know. And you know, it's funny having this discussion personally. I think one of the weirdest thing about all this is a lot of people will do this just with a possibility of being close to whiteness. And the only person that will get that more is with black women with non-black men. But throughout the time, not only history, but just time in general, as what we see, that is not necessarily the case. So they talk about securing and devoting and holding on blackness, but who really is holding prospering blackness right now? By choice. Because if the white man wanted y'all, they could have said, I want to marry only, non-white women. Y'all would be down in a heartbeat. We've seen too much from the TV shows to even what their behaviors now in full screen, that there's nothing in S that you're showing that you want to preserve blackness. Let's keep going.
So it wasn't no pro-blackness in the mix. Wasn't no pro-blackness. That's why the mixed race children wanted to gain proximity to their white side of the family. They didn't want to have proximity with their black side of the family because the black side of the family, by and large, was in the field. See, the black man didn't have that opportunity to go to a white woman or go to a white man and get free just for, busting it open, right? We couldn't do all that. We couldn't do that. So by and large, the vast majority of people who got their freedom papers was the women that was laying up with the white man and they mixed race children. So it wasn't no pro-blackness going on. It wasn't no upholding the black.
And some mixed children didn't even get their freedom papers there because a lot of them, they put them like any other racial caste system. And don't be fooled because the European man creates schools for his little mixed children. No, he did that just to spread more confusion and give them the illusion that the possibility of whiteness, but they never were white because a lot of them that came from the products of the European, they were not really given no passed down anything, especially if they're the only kids they had. Most non-black men, European men especially, if they don't get no kids from their own women, they will find one woman out there in their own racial group to have the kids, and once they're gone, they pass down everything to them, and that's just an honest fact, which a lot of people don't want to talk about. Hit the like button, guys. Share stream. As you know, this is one of them streams. It might get popular, it might not get popular, but we'll see what we do after the end of the stream. Make sure you hype the video and let's go.
Culture, it was gaining proximity to the white culture. That's the origins of the biracials with the white fathers. That's the facts. Now let's continue.
Facts.
In the book Travels to North America during the years 1825 and 1826, German Prince Karl Bernard narrates a striking spectacle that he discovered while visiting the city of New Orleans, the quadroon balls. His understanding of these balls goes as follows. The wealthy young ladies of color, under their mother's watchful eye, attended the balls to court white men. So listen, these women, their mothers, right? Their mothers who passed down the black culture were actually encouraging them to go be with that white man, sending them off like the goddamn white women on Epstein Island. Go be with them white men, right? Trafficking their goddamn daughters to the white men, getting proximity to the white culture, not passing down no black culture, right? Go to the white man, go to the white culture, pop out mixed race kids, and gain proximity to whiteness. That's what it was back in those days. That's the origins of the goddamn biracials with the white fathers. Let's continue.
God damn it. Expose the hell out these. But wait, there's a thing that Crimson Q. And this is what I can find. Oh God. I remember when the Crimson Cure said it best. Do I got that? Yeah, I might put it somewhere. Let me find that. She said it best back when that conversation with one chick, I think she was ADOS, I think, how she was talking bad about in front of a group of black men. And the thing that kept in my head, this skit always resonate with me, and should resonate with y'all. Listen carefully.
She's a bed wench. She's a bed wench. She's a bed wench.
What?
She's a bed wench. She's a bed wench.
What?
This is the heart, mind, and speech of a bed wench. I'm not even gonna use divester. That ain't no divest. She a bed wench. Divestors come from the bed wench line. They are the descendants of bed wenches.
Indeed. Anyhow.
These men later negotiated with their mothers for their daughter's hand and through contract promised to financially support the daughter and their children they may have. Each couple would then cohabitate and spark an intimate, perhaps romantic affair until the white man found a white woman that he could marry. Harriet Martineau echoed Bernard's findings in the book The Morals of Slavery. Beyond associating interracial unions with the quadroon balls, Martineau transformed free women of African descent into tragic debutantes. According to her, every quadroon woman believes that her partner will prove an exception to the rule of desertion, and many died by suicide once their white suitor left them, right? So even in those days, it was that same similar mentality. Yes, I understand these men are racist. I understand these men are white supremacists. I understand these men are engaging in pedophilia and human trafficking, but my white man is going to be different. I have the good white man. I found the good white man. And when that white man left, they got depressed and many committed suicide, right? So obviously they didn't really have all this high racial self-esteem, and we got passed down to black culture because as soon as the white man left, you want to kill yourself. So obviously you didn't get passed down that black culture and the high self-esteem. You wanted proximity to whiteness, right? That's the origins of the biracials with the white fathers. Let's continue. Historians.
Yeah, man. To find out back then, once that Mr. Charlie leave, and this only applies to very few of them at the time, because right now you're not gonna see no black woman now going to offer stuff now that white men break up with her or had some little fling. You're not gonna see it today, but back in them days, did not shock me, because without Mr. Charlie, in their eyes, they don't have no existence. It is a sad scenario, but it is what it is. Can't knock it, but I would say not all this is worth white skin, but can't tell black women nothing back in them days. Today, a little different. Then I could off themselves because life moves on, but back then, jeez.
Have variously characterized plaçage as a courtship practice akin to a common law marriage, concubinage, or quasi-prostitution. Stories of plaçage suggested that beautiful mixed-race women could never be content because they felt alienated from other black people, but their African ancestry denied them full acceptance into white society. Numerous hardships emerged for the free Afro-descendant women in interracial relationships, such as white men abandoning their mixed-race partners for white women, and mixed-race children being left legally illegitimate, and lawsuits over the inheritances. Now, this is the side of the game y'all don't want to talk about when you have these discussions. You don't want to go into the history and the origins because then it's going to get very ugly and very nasty, right? You don't want to talk about that. You don't want to go into the historical facts because then it's going to start looking real bad, right? Anyway, let's continue. For this thesis, I will investigate the lives of two free Afro-Creole women who engaged in intimate relationships with white men in New Orleans from the late 18th century into the 19th century. These women are Marianne Celeste Dragon and Modeste Foucher. Now, Mary Celeste Dragon, take a look up on the screen, a prominent Creole of color landowner during the Spanish Louisiana period. She was the wife of Andrea Dimitri. They were an interracial couple. Now, let's continue. The interracial partnerships that these women entered significantly shaped their engagement with Louisiana's legal system. Celeste Dragon exercised her rights as a wife to increase control over her estate and use loopholes within the law to obscure her African heritage. I repeat, she used loopholes within the law to obscure her African heritage. Once again, that proximity to whiteness. I want to get close to my paternal side of the family, my father's side of the family. I don't want to be too close to my mother's side of the family because there's no proximity to privilege over there. I want to get close to the white. So I'm going to use loopholes in the legal system to obscure my African origins, to deny my African origins, to obfuscate my African origins, which was the same behavior of all these biracials that white men created all across this side of the world. Now let's continue. Modeste Foucher also sold 8 enslaved people, including a family of 3, in the sale executed on March 20th, 1813. Another index shows that Foucher purchased an enslaved man named Babbitt on June 5th, 1822, right? So these same children of white men, right, the biracial children of white men, they were slave owners, slave traders, big landowners, and big economic players in the colonial system, not only in the United States, but in every single colony that existed, right? It wasn't no black culture. It wasn't no pro-blackness. It wasn't none of that. The agenda was getting proximity to whiteness and upholding the colonial system, right? That's what it was. That's exactly what it was, right? So this idea that, oh man, the white man with the biracial kids, man, he's superior. He gonna be tapped into his black culture. There is no historical evidence to back up that bullshit that you're trying to sell to the people. Anyway, let's continue. Now, the lady I just mentioned, Modeste Foucher, I believe that she was actually originally from the colony of Saint-Domingue, which was modern day Haiti at the time, and she had fled to New Orleans, and that's where she settled in Louisiana, right? But like I said, the same exact behavior down in the colony of Saint-Domingue, down in Haiti, was the exact same thing going on when it came to the biracials with the white fathers. In fact, I would say it was 10 times worse because the biracials with the white fathers actually waged war. They waged war against the black Haitian revolutionary generals.
And it goes even deeper. There's also saying that a lot of the mulattoes at that time did horror and stop a lot of revolts. But that should not surprise a lot of us because you think about it, if black women are really the ones that really understand the history, right? They won't mind being under the boot heel of other race of men if the possibility of becoming more proximate whiteness they will accept in the long term, you know. But most of those mixed children, will rebel or revolt and won't take no leadership under no man that is not their father's reflection, i.e., white skin. That is programming. That is not only trained, but that is also, we could go as deep as epigenetics. For those that don't know. Let's continue.
Let's talk about that. The free people of color were an intermediate social class in colonial Saint-Domingue in Haiti between the enslaved blacks and the whites. Distinct from the freed slaves, these people had mixed European and African ancestry as a result of sexual coercion and rape, sometimes generations back, between white landowners and their slaves, despite official prohibitions. From 1715 to 1790, they grew from 1,500 to 28,000, equal to the whites, but much fewer than the slaves, which were around 480,000 in 1789. About 85% lived in the countryside, where an elite owned large, lucrative plantations from scores of slaves. Lacking the whites' desires to return to France, the free people of color prospered through strategic marriage and business partnerships with whites, as well as through rebuilding neglected properties. So even in the colonial period down in Haiti in Saint-Domingue, right, it wasn't no black culture. It wasn't no pro-blackness being passed down to the biracials with the white fathers. They were upholding the colonial system. They were strategically placed as key economic players in the colonial system. Many of them were slave owners, slave traders, landowners. Many of them were big economic players, right? So many of them were also being sent to France to go to university and the military academies in Europe by the white fathers, right? And then they came back to defend the same colonial system. So like I say, man, it wasn't no, oh man, the biracial with the white father, he gonna pass down the culture. Man, stop that bullshit, man. Just rewriting the history for the white man. Stop rewriting history, bro. Stop it. Stop that. You sound historically illiterate. Now, when you go over to Haiti, right, the colony of Saint-Domingue, I think that's the most sobering reality when it comes to the so-called the biracial with the white father, right? When you talk about bloodshed, right, take a look up on the screen. The War of the South, also known as the War of Knives, was a civil war from June 1799 to July 1800 between the Haitian revolutionary Toussaint Louverture, a black ex-slave who controlled the north of the colony, and his adversary, Andre Rigaud, a mixed-race man who controlled the south. Louverture and Rigaud fought over de facto control over the colony during the war. Now, many people don't talk about that. During the Haitian Revolution, there was a general by the name of Andre Rigaud, a man of mixed race who wanted proximity to whiteness so bad that he went around wearing a wig and trying to pass as a white man, right? Trying to powder his face and wear a damn straight-haired wig to look like a damn white man. And
the sad thing about this, for those that don't know, we don't really know. This all derives off of self-hatred. The mixed breed children will flock to what is considered beautiful, godlike, and even go as close as proximity to a sense of power. So it would make perfect sense, like Dragon, if I pronounce the name right, that is a byproduct of black mother and white father, to act and conduct in a way to be as close to a European as possible, right? Because in his mind, he views and thinks himself as white man, not of anything other, or so it will make sense that he will imitate, even go as far as disfigure his complexion, and even go as far as wear a stupid hair hat to be as Eurocentric as possible. And in the end, the results he get was, you're still a for real. And now, let's keep going. Hayes.
The black men of the North were rising up against colonial barbarism. This man took up arms against the black generals. He took up arms against Dessalines. He took up arms against Toussaint. He took up arms against Christophe in order to defend the racial caste system of the time, because in his mind, he believed that as a man of mixed race, as a biracial man of a white father, how dare these black men think they can rise to power above me? How dare these black men think they can rule over me? I'm the son of a white man, god damn it, right? That was the mentality. And that led to one of the bloodiest military engagements during the Haitian Revolution, the blacks versus the mulattoes in 1799. Let's get into it. The War of the South, often remembered in Haitian memory as the War of Knives, was a brutal civil war inside the Haitian Revolution from 1799 to 1800. It was fought between two major factions that had both originally been part of the revolutionary struggle against French colonial rule. On one side was Toussaint Louverture, a formerly enslaved black general who controlled the north and most of the western part of the colony. His army was largely made up of former enslaved Africans and black revolutionary fighters. On the other side was Andre Rigaud, a mixed race man and a leader of the free people of color in the South. Rigaud's faction included many members of the gens de couleur, a class that had existed under French colonial rule and occupied an intermediate position between the whites and the enslaved blacks. So on one side, you have Toussaint Louverture, the leader of the blacks based in the North, and on the other side, you have Andre Rigaud, the leader of the mulattoes based in the South. Now, keep in mind, both of these individuals had blacks and mulattoes on both of their factions, but it was two different ideologies completely, right? So when it came to General Rigaud, the mixed race faction, they were like, listen, we are not going to be ruled over by the blacks, right? We are the descendants of white men. We are the progeny. We are the offspring of white men. We are superior to black men. We are superior to black women. We are superior. Our fathers are white. Therefore, we are superior. We are not going to be under the subjugation of no blacks. And of course, Dessalines, Christophe, Toussaint, they heard that and they was like, I bet, I guess we got to, point the barrel of the gun at you too. Now, anyway, let's continue. At the core of the conflict was power and control over the colony. Although both sides had fought against slavery and colonial rule, they did not trust each other. Toussaint had become the most powerful leader in the entire colony after defeating foreign invasions and negotiating trade deals with the United States and Great Britain. Andre Rigaud, however, did not want to submit to the leadership of Toussaint Louverture and saw himself as an equal or a rival. The French colonial system had created a racial and social caste system in Saint-Domingue. The free people of color had certain privilege and economic advantage compared to the formerly enslaved population. By the late 1790s, this caste tension had not disappeared. Many of Rigaud's supporters had feared losing their influence and land under a unified system led by a black general. The war began when Andre Rigaud launched attacks in the South, capturing key towns and carrying out massacres to secure his position. Both sides committed severe violence. Reports from the time described executions, mass murder, and reprisals. The fighting became extremely bloody, with civilians and suspected supporters that were also targeted. Entire communities were destroyed, and the violence left deep scars in Haitian memory. So once again, like I say, when we actually go to the origins of this conversation, the so-called the biracials with the white fathers, like, do you know how much bloodshed has occurred because of these so-called biracials with the white fathers? Do you know how much instability and colorism and all these, racial caste systems and self-hatred and anti-blackness that was created because of these biracials with the white fathers that you're pedestalizing and glorifying as superior, like you're a damn European colonist? That ideology came from the European colonists. This idea that the biracial with the white father is superior, the biracial with the white father is better, right? This thing you're repeating, this talking point you're repeating came directly from the European plantations. Stop repeating that garbage. A mixed child is a mixed child. If you want your child to be black, if you want to pass down the black culture, the black heritage, get with a black man. That's it. Get with a black man. Have your black children like my mother did, like her mother did.
Now, that sounds good. That sounds beautiful. It sounds wonderful. The only twist is only if you love and respect what you see in the mirror. And we all know through what is present, not history, but what's present, majority of a lot of black women do not like respect what they see in the mirror overall. And we can go as far as not only the aesthetic from wearing the fake hair, maybe shaving the eyebrows, or anything that to beautify them. It goes much deeper. It is a self-hatred thing that goes as deep as the genetic side of things. That you are the epitome of evil, bad, ugly, ungodly, unpurified in the back of their consciousness. That's how they view and see themselves. So what you do now, you see yourself as opposite of what is considered beautiful, godlike, and the epitome of all that is right. You will go out your way and change it. And the few things you start doing to change first is the outer, which is your appearance. The next is the genetics. That means you go find the non-black mate and produce the non-black child, like the video says here before.
21 years military, 13 years overseas since 1994. All the white men I knew during my service military with black baby mamas would never put on child support. Explain this reality, black woman. No, they got their reparations, a mixed baby and a white dude, right? They got their reparations, a mixed baby and a white dude, right? They got their reparations, a mixed baby and a white dude, right? They got their reparations, a mixed baby and a white dude, right?
You a goddamn
From God!
Let's go. Let's continue.
Like her mother did, like her mother did, like her mother did. Stop trying to rewrite the rules of the game, right? You want to create these black children with these white men, and you want to so-called pass down the culture. Go get with a black man and pass down your black culture that you love so much. If you love your black culture so much, get with a black man, pass down the black culture like my mother did, like my auntie did, like all the women in my family did since the beginning of time, like millions of years ago. Stop trying to rewrite the game. Stop it. You have a mixed kid, you got a white man. You're not superior. You're not better. And on top of that, you don't even love blackness enough to actually get with a black man and actually create some authentic black children. And a lot of y'all want to talk about colorism all the goddamn time. Colorism. Obviously, colorism is not a big deal for you because you have no problem popping out some mixed race kids for a European. So obviously, colorism is not a deal breaker for you. Colorism is not a big deal for you. So stop trying to make it seem like you care so much about colorism and blackness and black culture, but you laying up with the white man. Stop it. I don't believe you. Anyway, let's continue. Toussaint Louverture responded with a large-scale military campaign. His generals, including Dessalines and Christophe, led offensives against Rigaud's strongholds. The war saw intense battles, sieges, and brutal repression. Some of the most violent reprisals occurred after Toussaint's victory, when forces loyal to him carried out killings against suspected supporters of André Rigaud. Estimates of the death toll vary widely, but thousands were killed during and after the conflict. So listen, Toussaint Louverture, Dessalines, and Christophe, they had to put their foot up their ass of them biracials with the white fathers. Listen, man. Toussaint Louverture, Dessalines, Christophe, they had to march to the south. They had to put their foot up their ass of the biracials of the white fathers, man. Listen, had to put their foot down, put the foot on their neck, had them boys flee in the colony. Anyway, let's continue, man. Now, if you want to see the product of biracials with the white fathers, with the white paternal heritage, we can just look next door at the Dominican Republic and look at the fact that the Dominicans, they don't celebrate their victory against their Spanish enslavers, against their Spanish fathers. They don't celebrate that. In fact, they glorify their Spanish fathers. They celebrate their victory against their black neighbors. That's the independence they celebrate. They celebrate victory against their black Haitian neighbors, defeating the blacks, right? That's what they celebrate in Dominican society. And that pretty much summarizes Latin American culture in general. We know Latin American culture was created by white men, interracial mixing with indigenous and African women. That's how you get the populations of mixed race people all over Latin America.
And not only you get that, you get a lot of other problems. Personally. If you remember, during the crusade of the Spaniards, and there are many books that talk about the Spaniards crusade or Inquisition. That's what they call the Spanish Inquisition. But it pretty would understand and really look into the information. And some people that are Latin descent would have a somewhat ideal, I'm not sure they have an understanding, because really truly, when we talk about historic of what creates these people or what structures that are built in, we had to go back to the infrastructure itself and who came here and start to colonize certain places. I think a lot of us don't really take time away to understand who are the main tribes of Europeans that started their crusade of dominance, alleged dominance, really, to have more understanding why we are today, especially the different factions of races within our tribes. Man, let's keep going. I don't want to bore y'all. Let's go. Hold on. Where's my mouse? Okay. There you go.
The Blanqueamiento, right? That's why the Dominicans, they celebrate independence from the Haitians, but never the Spanish. That's why in Brazil, they got the Blanqueamiento, the Branqueamiento. Take a look up on the screen. This classic painting that pretty much summarizes Brazilian culture, right? You have the black grandmother. The black grandmother, she had her biracial with the white father, and now the biracial with the white father got them a white man. Now they have a child that's white passing. And you know, in Latin American culture, they have something called improving the race, right? Mejora la raza, or whatever they call it, right? Improving the race. How do you improve the race in Latin American culture? You got to get with a white man and make some light-skinned kids, right? And then your kids have to get with a white man and have some white passing kids until you finally have some white grandchildren, right? So improving the race, right? That mentality, where did it come from? It came from the biracials with the white fathers trying to gain proximity to their father's side of the family, to the white culture on their father's side of the family, right? We see the same anti-blackness and colorism still to this day in Latin America because it has been ingrained into the culture. That is the product of the biracial child with the white father.
Oh, and you know, it's one thing. I remember Uncle D did talk about a particular broadcast about the black grandma. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. That's just something just for them to put up to show that they have some remnants of blackness, but really doesn't really show no factual of blackness because most we look at during the time of the understanding of history, most grandmothers that are black or you have a black grandma is that product of either touching or some other means why you have a black so-called part offspring overall in general that's not really discussed. And I'm trying to be clean with my words because I don't want to say it as is, but y'all know what I'm talking about. All right, let's go.
And since I mentioned Brazil, let's talk about Brazil, right? Take a look up on the screen. Brazil was the last country in the Americas to emancipate its slaves in 1888. Yet with the abolition of slavery, Brazil shared a Latin American disinterest in fully integrating or according substantive citizenship rights to the black occupants. This was a deeply troubling issue for Brazilian elites, given the significant numbers of slaves who had been imported into their nation. Indeed, more than 90% of the approximately 10 million enslaved Africans taken to the Americas were brought to Latin America and the Caribbean, whereas only 4.6% were taken to the United States. One historian estimates the total number of African slaves imported into Brazil as 3.6 million. In contrast, U.S. historians estimate that only 500,000 African slaves were imported into the United States. The Brazil response to the fear of a newly freed black population was like the rest of Latin America, an attempt to whiten the population. In Brazil, the whitening philosophy was called branqueamiento and directly paralleled Spanish America's whitening philosophy of blanqueamiento. Like blanqueamiento in Spanish America, branqueamiento in Brazil was an ideology and a set of practices for whitening the Brazilian population and modernizing the nation, right? So like I say, man, they had the same mentality. We have to create biracials with the white fathers so we can improve the race because the biracials with the white fathers are better than black people. The biracials with the white father is better than when they have a black father, right? The same mentality that was created on them plantations, y'all are still regurgitating that same philosophy in 2026 just to justify your personal intimate desires and proclivities to lay up with Europeans. That's what it is. And when you look at all the so-called revolutionary movements that occurred in Latin America, they were all co-opted by the so-called the biracial class, right? When you look at the Dominican founding fathers, when you look at even Simon Bolivar had to come to the Haitian revolutionary leaders to get weapons, ships, and manpower to go do battle against the Spanish. And as soon as Simon Bolivar defeated the Spanish, what did he do? He maintained the same racial caste system with the blacks on the bottom and the biracials with the white fathers on top. Right?
And that's picture him right there. Can you tell the difference? Yeah, I think he came from pure European stock. He is a byproduct, but he more resembles and more he goes more towards the whiteness because his father is white, and by default his father is God into his eyes, so he has to imitate God, which is white. I remember one time there was an old statement by David Carroll about how the white man was God to a lot of black women. I mean, I laughed through it back then, and I used to play it on my channel, but when I conceptualize it overall, it makes sense. Like literally, it makes a lot of sense. Now let's keep going.
Right? The blacks on the bottom under the boots of the biracials with the white fathers. The same thing occurred in all these Spanish-speaking countries when they were launching their so-called revolutionary movements, right? And even when you look at the so-called tension that exists between Haitians and Dominicans, the origin of that tension exists because one side feels a closer attachment to their father's side of the family, their Spanish heritage, and the other side feels more of an attachment to their African heritage, their black heritage. So both sides cannot get along because the side that feels more proximity to the Spanish side, the white side, they look down. They have a racist view of the blacks because of that cultural inheritance from their white predecessors, right? So this idea that, oh man, the biracial with the white father and the black mother, he's such an asset, he's so superior. No, he's not. He's not. He has caused trouble. He's caused disorder. He's caused instability, war, bloodshed, mass murder, just to defend the interests of his white father. That's why as soon as Simon Bolivar liberated his so-called territory with the assistance of the Haitian revolutionary leaders, what did he do? He turned his back on the Haitians. He turned his back on the blacks that fought in his army, and he tried to ally himself with the United States, the white men in the United States, because he wanted that proximity to whiteness. As many of these so-called mixed race people with white fathers, that's what they wanted at that time. That's the origin of the mixed race individual with the white father that was created on the European colonies, right? So now y'all trying to rewrite the history in the modern day. Y'all trying to rewrite the script, right? Trying to make it seem like, oh man, the biracial with the white father, he the one that's tapped in. He the one that got the culture. He the one that's superior. He the this and man, stop. Y'all just want to lay up with white men. That's it. Y'all just want to lay up with white men. And in fact, the content creator who made the video, she actually admitted that, yes, she has a long documented history of having intimate relations with Europeans. Play the clip.
Sometimes yes, I am a white man's whore, okay? Sometimes yes, I am a white man's whore, okay? Sometimes yes, I am a white man's whore, okay?
All right, we back. Now, I'll be honest.
God damn. And mind you, I'm sorry, guys. If I mute any part of the broadcast, I do apologize. I let it play as always. I had a lady on my channel back in 2023, the end of 2023, I believe, if I can recall. Yeah. She wrote a book on this, on a white man's whore. She go into detail, not only from her, experience, but other things of context of the book and the mindset of a lot of black women in general. I advise everybody to get that book. Yeah, I know. It's funny, isn't it? She said, I'm a white man's. I mean, we all know that, baby. We you gotta tell black men nothing, baby. We all watch Scandal. Y'all remember Scandal? And salute, bro. What's good? What's good? Oh, guys, if y'all want to support the channel, you can hit the super chat or cash app, wherever it's rolling on here. This is a vertical stream, so it's gonna be hard to really support the channel. I mean, I don't know. But like I said, if you guys have any questions, put it in the chat room. I'll read it. And share the stream. Come on and have conversation on this. Let's go.
As soon as I heard that part in the video, I just stopped listening to her video because it all made sense. The reason why you feel the way you feel, the reason why you glorifying the union between the black woman and the white man and the biracial with the white father is because, like you said, you admitted on the camera, on the internet, and you referred to yourself as a sexually degrading term for white men, right? So now it makes sense why you feel the way you feel. And like I said in the beginning of the video, you don't have to go through all this gymnastics and jump through hoops because you want to personally lay up with white men. Baby, we live in a free country. We have rights and liberties. You can do whatever you want to do. You can lay up with all the white men you want, but you don't have to rewrite the history though. That's my thing. You don't have to rewrite the history though and say, oh, the biracial with the white father, this why they better, this why they superior. Listen, just lay up with your white man, be a whore for the white man all you want, like you said, but you don't got to do all this extra shit, baby, because it's not based in reality, right? Because at the end of the day, your biracial kids, we're going to have to defeat them in the future like we did back in Haiti, right? Like we did all over Latin America. We're going to have to go to war with them in the future because they're going to want to uphold the culture and the proximity and the influence of their fathers like they've been doing for centuries. That's what it is. History has shown us this time and time again. The same reason why there's a genocide happening in Sudan, because those fake Arabs in Sudan, they believe that they're Arabs because some Arab in their bloodline came in and mixed with a black woman centuries ago, and now they're trying to uphold some Arab influence and Arab dominance and Arab supremacy over the native blacks. So I'm just saying the things y'all saying is not based in reality. It's not based in historical literacy, right? The historical record doesn't agree with you. You can do whatever you want. Lay up with the white man all you want. Lay up with whatever you want to do. But just know that history doesn't agree with you. You're going to create a bunch of self-hating biracials like your foremothers did. That's what your foremothers did centuries ago. Popped out a bunch of self-hating biracials that we had to go to war with and we had to defeat. Right? That's what it is. The black man, the same black man you said is not necessary. The black man had to defeat them self-hating biracials that you produced. Right? So at the end of the day, the same thing gonna happen time and time again. We're gonna have to defeat them self-hating biracials once again in the future. It is what it is. Anyway, it's what.
All right. Yeah. Unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Yeah. You know, I don't see it as an issue when black man has his little mixed kids. I don't see the same outrage as problem from what I noticed. Now, not saying that you have mixed kids is gonna make it safe in the race that is gonna really better the race in the long term. It doesn't really, but really true. If you're a man, generally you trying to carry on in life and your offspring, you're gonna find women, unfortunately, that will fulfill your task, hopefully. And we all know, since there's a mindset in the black race and with black women generally, I mean, they're not going to fulfill that over on the long run, because being with you in their mind, they are clear that it's not a leg up or a positive, it's a negative to their so-called existence. So why not they go around and swirl it up? Because they'd rather be, let's say, the side piece of other groups of men, which has been proven time and time again. It has not changed. Next video, and this one's short. We'll do one more video. I was gonna have some dealing with the same what's going on in Africa, but I might hold off to that. Let's go.
Mom, and still don't know what it means to be black. And I know some of y'all are in a quiet place, low-key agreeing with some of these biracials with white mamas, and y'all don't want to come out to the woodworks and be like, yikes. But that's because people don't understand that there are also black women who hate themselves, that they outside their race. For that exact reason. We only try to put those allegations on black men, but there are black women who straight naturals, perm their kids' hair, live in the suburbs with that white man who only send their kids to white schools, only hang around that white man's family, and only has white homegirls. So, you know, like, you know, you got a black woman, you don't know how to do your hair. Some of us are in two-parent black family homes and don't know how to do our hair. So it's like, it be certain shit, it be like, okay, yeah, maybe certain biracial shouldn't speak on certain shit, but then it just be like, why is the weight on a black woman to immerse everybody in the culture? Like, you feel me? And then why do just because somebody got a black mama that makes them more credible to talk on black shit? Some of these biracials with black mamas don't know shit. They don't. And that's okay. So don't let these people categorize y'all too much, because I know a lot of y'all are still confused.
Yeah, we back. Now, today's video is going to be a follow-up video to one I dropped yesterday entitled,
and then this is
Biracials with Black Mothers versus White Mothers Debunked.
And, you know, this is another more add on to it. Let's see what the brother Destiny goes into.
And in that video, I was responding to another content creator who was pushing a narrative that I've been seeing that's apparently been gaining traction amongst certain circles. This belief that there's somehow a difference between a biracial raised by a black mother versus a white mother. Now, when it comes to me, I frame the narrative a bit differently. I say the biracial with the white father, because then it puts things into a different perspective. But in today's video, I want to follow up and talk about the reason why that argument is so disrespectful and so anti-black. Besides the fact that I already told you that this talking point originates from the European plantations. The individuals who created this talking point were the European colonists, the slave owners and human traffickers. They're the ones that came up with that philosophy, that belief that the biracial child that's fathered by the European is somehow superior or whatever they came up with. That talking point originated in the European plantations, in the European colonies. And in previous videos, I even dug up old literature from men who lived back in the 1800s who were actually saying the exact same thing, saying that if a biracial child should be born, it should be the product of a white man, right? So that talking point, that ideology, that mentality, that came from European colonists, plantation owners, human traffickers, and pedophiles, right? So now today, I see that talking point once again reemerging and gaining traction in the modern day. In 2026, we actually have individuals who actually believe that, and they promote that, and they push that as if it's some type of like verified science. But in case you didn't see my video last night, go check it out. Classic video. As per usual, I supported my argument based in facts and historical events. So go check that out if you haven't. But in today's video, I want to talk about the reason why that argument is so disrespectful in the first place, right? Now, typically what they say is the biracial with the black mother, I should say the biracial with the white father, is superior because they say that the black mother is going to pass down the culture, is going to pass down the heritage, things like that. That's the foundation of their argument. Now, the problem with that, when you make that argument, you basically say that the black father is not a necessary part of the equation. Basically saying you can remove the black father and interchange him with anybody. You could interchange him with a white man. You could interchange him with a donkey. You could interchange him with an inanimate object, and the product remains the same. You don't need the black father. You just have the black mother and you're good to go, right? In my opinion, I think that's the most disrespectful part of the argument. Basically saying that the black father does.
Hold on, guys. Oh, okay. I see what's going on. All right, let's continue. It had some issue, technical.
Didn't even have any, necessary value to the point where he's not even an integral part of the equation, right? We don't even need him. We can interchange him with a random white man and get the same outcome. Now, of course, I'm highly offended by that because I always say I wouldn't be the man I am today without the sacrifices made and the contributions of my father, giving me that example, that live action example of how a black man should conduct himself, how a black man should lead a family, how a black man should conduct himself when he's out in society, to be a productive member of society and be a productive leader for your family. I thank God every day that my mother chose the man that she chose. She made an excellent choice. So I'm highly offended when people try to minimize the importance of the black father, basically saying that he's not even a necessary part of the equation. We could interchange him with anything and anybody and achieve the same outcome. And I don't believe that to be the case, especially as a young boy, right? If your role model is a white man versus your role model being a black man, you're going to have two different outcomes. You're going to have two different worldviews, two different experiences. When a white man is your disciplinarian, your white man is your role model. The white man is the one giving you game on how to operate in society. You're going to get very different lessons compared to if you have a black man in the home showing you the way, giving you the live action example. So that's the main thing that I push back against the argument, the minimization of the black father, saying the black father is not a necessary part of the equation. We don't need the black father. That's what you're saying. When you make that argument, you're saying we don't need the black father. We can interchange him with anybody and anything and get the same outcome. And I don't believe that's the case. And also, when you make the argument about the mothers passing down the culture, we have to ask, what is the culture exactly? And are black men not an integral part of this culture? Are black men not the chief architects of whatever culture you're talking about? When I think about my culture, let's talk about Haitian.
They're not really an integral part of this. And the reason why that is because majority of black women today, not just America, but anywhere globally where they stand, they do not see the black man as any importance or value in their progression or sustainability in this world globally. So that by default, in their mind, the only thing they see a sense of what in their hearts and their own two eyes is whiter skin or mixing and cream byproducts of whiter skin, which is mixed babies, to further their so-called lack of self-esteem, in which they'll, in their mind, to be close to proximity of whiteness, you need to have to be nurtured and groom their offsprings that are a product of non-black men to bring forth a sense of actual whiteness in their eyes and to be close to God by having the offspring. If they can't be close to the white man itself, they prefer that than anything else. So that's my take. And I might be repeating myself, but I want this to set home to a lot of people that come to the replay of this. Let's go.
Culture where black men not an integral part of the formation and creation and defense of Haitian culture. I'm trying to understand, right? So you're going to pass down the culture that black men created, right? Black men created, fought and died and bled and killed and murdered for it, right? To establish these cultures. And you're saying that you can pass down the values and the traditions of these cultures and the customs without black men, right? Black men are not an integral part of the equation. even though black men were the chief architects of whatever culture you're talking about, whether it's Haitian culture, whether it's Jamaican culture, whether it's Igbo culture, whether it's Yoruba culture, whether it's Fon culture, whether it's Wolof culture, whether it's Akan culture, whether it's, Ethiopian culture, whatever culture you want to talk about, the men are the chief architects, drivers, and defenders of that culture, right? The men are the ones who historically defend the culture and defend the borders and defend the people, right? So you're saying we don't even need the men who are the chief architects of the culture to pass down the culture. Highly disrespectful. Highly disrespectful. Another issue I have with the argument is that I don't know if it's made from the perspective of a single mother household, but you're assuming that whatever man you substitute the black man with, let's say, okay, we don't need the black man. Fine. The black man is not necessary to the equation. Fine. Let's plug in a white man. So you're assuming that that white man is not going to input his culture into his child. You're assuming that that white man is not going to pass down his heritage, his values, his customs to his progeny, his children, his offspring that he's raising every day. You're assuming that he's not going to have no input and contribution when it comes to those affairs, right? So that's highly ignorant on your part. Highly ignorant. And of course, if you watch my video where I debunked that lady in regards to this topic, I gave a rundown history lesson, and we went to various locations. We went to New Orleans, down in Louisiana. We went to Latin America. We went to the Caribbean, all the places in the New World where the Europeans established colonies and these biracial populations were created. And what did we see? We saw that the biracials with the white fathers, they were trying to gain proximity to whiteness. They were trying to attach themselves to their father's culture if they had the opportunity. They defended the interests of their father's culture. I even gave the example during the Haitian Revolution when it came to the Civil War between the blacks and the mulattoes in 1799. You had a mulatto general, a mixed race general by the name of Andre Rigaud, who took up arms against Dessalines, took up arms against Toussaint, took up arms against Christophe to defend the racial caste system established by his French predecessors, because he believed that as a mixed race man, I'm not going to be under the subjugation of no black man, right? There's a racial caste system. I am above the black man. So he took up arms to defend that, and that led to a massive, bloody, disastrous civil war in 1799 between the black generals and the mulatto generals, right? So we've seen that in history. The white father is going to have an input. He's going to have an influence on the mentality on how his children are raised. That's why you had things like the Blue Vein Society in the United States. That's why in all the European colonies, when you examine the so-called the mixed race population, they always try to maintain their own little communities, their own little pockets, try to maintain their light skin, try to maintain that proximity to whiteness, try to pass for white. So when we examine history, it doesn't agree with this so-called analysis that the white father is not going to have any contribution or influence on how his children are raised, right? We can study history and look at the facts. We can take a look at the culture of self-hatred and anti-blackness and colorism that is omnipresent in Latin America. And as we know, by and large, Latin America is a region full of mixed race people. But what is the dominant culture in Latin America? What is the culture they glorify and uphold? The culture of the European Spanish predecessors. So the same reason why they believe that the white father somehow is going to have no input or influence on the way that his child is raised is the same reason why they believe that the black father is not an integral part of the equation when it comes to the creation and when it comes to the defense or passing down or the transmission of culture to the next generation. And to me, when I hear people make this argument, it sounds like they did not come up in a two-parent household where they saw a man and woman work together.
And it's beyond a two-parent household. A lot of the institutions that we see that's residing, if you don't know, continues to advocate and promote whiteness, the superiority. And God forbid they also, and they know how to really train or teach this, inferior of blacks. Case in point, the doll test is a good representation of this inferior complex between whites and blacks, especially blacks. So overall, it is expected, not intentional, it expected that most of these children that are a byproduct of mixed race from black mothers and non-black men to produce the non-hating child to be against, blacks in general. Even go as far as fight and, go to war in defending the honors of their fathers. And it's funny having this conversation. I've noticed this. You ever notice that, especially with black mothers, they will never, ever, that has mixed kids, will ever go against and fight against a father of the dominant alleged race. She will never go against that. She will make excuse and be in good grace with this man, regardless that she's not being treated as she should be, because in her mind, this is as close to God as she's going to get. So she has to defend Mr. Charlie Zaddy at all costs, intentionally. I mean, I think Gabby's I guess husband had, a scare where it looks like he's okay now because he has some surgical procedure because he had some blood issue. I mean, she's defending and trying to save her Zaddy, she called. But if he was going to transition today, what will she do? She will still act and conduct herself to, becoming what she already has been. And she don't have much options, but she is one of many women that will defend their father at all costs, regardless, or their Zaddy at all costs, and good reason. And not saying she shouldn't defend because that's the man she has to take on and pay for, but the delusion, the insanity is just real with when it comes to black women. All right, let's go.
And they saw a father play his role and a mother play his role, because it seems that they have no value or respect for what the father brings to the table. It seems that the father is, pretty much interchangeable, take it or leave it. We don't even need him. And like I said, to me, that's highly disrespectful, because you're saying that I would have came out the same way that I am today. I would have came out the same man that I am today if I had a white father or an Indian father or a Pakistani father or a Hispanic father. You're saying that it doesn't matter what my father brought to the table. You're saying that my father is not really an integral part of my formation and my creation as a black man in this world. And also, if you're trying to place this emphasis on the black mother passing down the culture, how can you at the same time then say you can plug in a man of a different culture? Those men were not raised by black women. Those men were raised by women of different cultures, right? So you're saying that those men who are raised by non-black women, you can plug them into the equation and you could pop out a black child with the same values and customs and culture as the black child with the black mother and the black father. In your mind, there's no difference, right? So the white man who's raised by the white woman, you can interchange him with the black man raised by the black woman and the black man, right? It doesn't make no sense. It doesn't make no sense. You're twisted and turning yourselves to try to make sense of something that's not based in history, not based in science, not based in genetics, not based in anthropology. It's just based on your personal desires to date interracially. And if that's what you want to do, then just say that. Just say that we want to date interracially and we're trying to justify our personal desires and activities and proclivities. Just say that, because when we analyze it from all different angles, the argument falls flat on its face. You realize that you're making an argument based on emotion, not based in science, not based in history, not based in anthropology, not based in anything academically, just based in your personal feelings and desires to lay up with foreigners and Europeans. And that's fine if that's what you want to do. We live in a free country. We have rights and civil liberties that, we have access to. So you can do whatever you want, but you don't got to create pseudoscience or fake history to justify your personal desires. You don't got to minimize the importance of the black father because you want to lay up with white men. That's very shameful. That's very shameful to do, right? You don't got to regurgitate 19th century colonial ideology just because you want to lay up with white men. I think that's very shameful and just very, it's a spit in the face to all the men that came before us that sacrificed their lives defending these same cultures that you claim that you can pass down to the next generation. The cultures that you're talking about, black men were the chief architects and defenders of those cultures. So how can you pass down those cultures without the black man present, without the black man involved? The black man created the damn culture. The black man died and bled for the culture, sacrificed his life for the culture, and you're saying the black man is not an integral part when it comes to the transmission of that culture to the next generation. Y'all are out of your mind, man. Y'all are out of your minds. Y'all are out of your minds. And like I said, man, I've been seeing this narrative, floating around, and I've been ignoring it for a little bit. I spoke about it in the past, but I just keep seeing it come up over and over and over again. And like I said, it's not based in any historical reality. It's not based in any science or genetics. It's not based in any anthropology. It could be easily debunked in like 2 seconds. So, I don't understand. Like I said, very highly disrespectful to the black father. And like I said, I'm the product of the black father. So I'm not going to let y'all ever disrespect the black father in my presence, right? Nah, it's not going to happen on this channel. You're never going to minimize the importance of the black father, the contributions of the black father, and what the black man brings to the table. You're not. And you're not going to make me equivalent to somebody with a white father, right? You're not going to say that I would be no different if I had a white father or any other father. You could interchange my father with anybody else and I would have came out the same. No, I would have not came out the same. I would have not been the same black man I am today if I had a non-black father. No, you're lying to me. You're talking bullshit. So y'all got to stop with the false narratives, the fake narratives on this channel. Those false narratives are going to be debunked every single time. On this channel, those false narratives are going to be corrected every single time, right? That's what it is. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like I said, you got to keep putting the false narrative out there, because it's all a sense of excuse to swirl. Or an excuse. A big excuse. And it's not really a good excuse either, because really true, when black men date out and out, he don't really make excuse. If he has any of excuse, if we want to go there, he tell you his logical reasons why he goes and date. Even if he dated sisters or not, he's gonna give you a real reason. He's not make up no bullshit to a lot of people. When he makes a decision, he just go and do it, and they ask, he keeps it honest. In the case of black women, when they go date, marry out, there's always some dumb excuse. And really true, they should be honest with themselves. Say, I just want to date and marry out because I want to, I have a plethora of white skin. We're hoping that if it works, it good. It doesn't work out, at least I get a byproduct of this man. And eventually, I might, by choice, be a single mother. But listen, you Negroes are going to come and be stepdaddies. And as you know, the stepdaddy portal has come and gone, because a lot of young black men today are not being stepdaddies. Hell, a lot of men right now, as you know from the conversation for the internet, have been talking down and really talking harsh with the men that even do the stepdad thing, with a lot of women that made a choice, regardless they have children from black men or not. Now, if you remember on previous streams, the extra 1.2, which now is roughly now 1.3-ish, maybe 1.4 million babies from black women, right? They got one child or two, are not fathered by a lot of black men. I mean, if I remember this, let me look at this. There was something that I was able to compile. It's a little short. It's not really anything too deep. Now, they said here why it is what it is, and we're going to do the numbers here. And this is a simple little PDF, not really too deep, but I'll share it anyway before I call this a day. As I know. Let me see. Share screen. Let's look. Oh, all right. Hold on. Let me do this. Let me do this. Is this the one? Oh, okay. Interesting. I'll try this. Let's see if this pulls up. This might work. Oh, wow. Oh, it's nice. I like this. Okay. Okay. Can I scroll down? No, I can't. Oh, I like this. I like this. Okay. Yeah, I might be able to see it. It's weird. Huh? I'll see if I can zoom in. Let me see if I can zoom in. No. I guess I'll read it. Why not? The multiracial population of interracial unions, a global overview. Then this report summarized recent demographics research on multiracial identifications and interracial unions, with a focus of United States, Europe, Latin America, Africa, etc., etc. Emphasis on union between black individuals and non-black partners, particularly black women and non-black men, and black men and non-black women, etc. The United States of 2020 U.S. Census reports about 276% of increase in multiracial identification from 2010 to 2020. That's like a period of 16 years now. But back then, from 2010 to 2020, it was 10 years. As of 2020, 10.2% of the U.S. population identified as a multiracial. This is what they identified last 6 years. Black-white intermarriage remains one of the most common interracial pairing. About 90% of newlyweds in the U.S. are in interracial marriage of 2025 did. Now, this is people that are married legally, roughly. Black men are more likely than black women to marry outside the race, and they will succeed marry outside the race because black men, if they're ready to get married, if it's not black women they can't marry, they will marry somebody else. As much as I don't want to say it is what it is. That's what is shown right now. That we see now in regards that is now slowly start to trend and will eventually increase. Number 2, Latin America. Many countries have long history of racial mixing, especially between European, indigenous people, and Africans. Mestizos, mixed European and indigenous, populations dominate in Mexico, Colombia, and Central America. Brazil and the Dominican Republic have large mulattoes. We are the African Europeans populations. Brazil's census include categories like Pardo, mixed race, which comprise over 40% of the population. Now, number 3, Europe. Data on multiracial identifications is limited due to different census practice. Interracial unions, including black, white couples, are more common in the urban areas of France, the UK, and Netherlands. Next page. Next page. Let me see. All right. Where is it? Number 4, Africa. South Africa has a distinct color population historically defined as mixed race. As of 2022, about 8.5% of South African population, approximately 5 million people, identify as color. Now, in Africa, they call color. That's what they use in certain parts of Africa. I think Europe, they call mixed race. They label them as mixed race. America, we don't really give it too much label. We could say biracial here in America, but really, we don't give a real category where people say you're mixed race, color, biracial in America, because America's so different when we're dealing with people of different racial parents creating mixed kids. This group descends from African, European, and Asian ancestry, especially in the Western Capes. Other African countries have smaller mixed race populations, often without formal census recognition. Limitations. Many countries do not collect data or detailed data of multiracial identities or interracial unions. Definitions of race and ethnicity vary widely across regions. Social stigmas and historical legacies influence self-identification and reportings. And there's peer research, and these are the data that's up here, Oxford, etc. You guys get the point. Yeah, I get the point. Let me remove this. Let me see if anything else on here. Hold on. Now, let me see if I can find it. Where is it? Now, I try to find, and maybe I should find my video on it, which I should did up here, but for the sake of time, what are the amount now of shown between men and women in regards to who's having children? And I'm looking here. And I might have to start from the top, because this is a more rough estimation numbers. This is Hispanic origin. We want whites and blacks. And I might have to. All right, I'm gonna go up to the beginning. And I can't really share it because I did this right. So let's see. United States, okay. Methods, introduction, standard certificate, age mother. We don't want age mother. We don't care about that because most mothers nowadays is now no longer in their teens. Most of them now in their 20s and up. That's why I go by the age now because that has changed in the last 16 years or over a decade ago. I'm gonna look at the data now. I'm might have to switch because I don't think this one's giving accurate what I'm looking for or what I'm trying to find. All race and origins, okay. Okay. Blacks. Okay. I like this number. Okay. Let's go down. That's not it. Fertility rates. Hmm. 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 All right. The problem with this that I want to see by gender, not by just by race, because it could vary. All right. Okay. Hmm. All right. Hmm. Okay. If I'm silent, guys, I'm trying to find the ones with blacks, and right now this is not giving me a good parameter. So I'm gonna switch gears and find another one. Yeah, let me find one. This is not good. I don't want to go by the numbers because it's not being accurate. All right, let's go this one. Birth for dates, and let's see. Is this the one? Let me see if this is the one. Wow. All right, let me see if it gives me anything. Okay, here's something. Okay. Births, okay. Okay. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Interesting. Yeah. Wow. This is a long. You say. Okay. All right. All right. Births. Yeah. Hmm. All right. Well, nothing I got here, and I could barely understand the CDC. So let me go back. Oops. Charts, results, charts. All right. Well. Okay. I guess I don't see nothing here. It's hard to really do this. I wish I was well prepared, but I'm not gonna waste time on this because it brought if I just had the video up there. So that's pretty much it. I apologize, guys, because if I could find it, I can't. Oh no. Anyhow, that's it for me. What's your thoughts? In conclusion to all this, it's really women nowadays that's really more influential, especially when we talk about the black community side of things, especially black women. They're the ones that really hold and influence right now these mixed children. They don't really have a sense of identity because the products of them from non-black men, they're going to just flock to whiteness at the end of the day. They're not going to uphold, respect, or try to keep up or influence blackness if they want to portray that. If they come out your womb and the father's not black, it's most likely going to more flock and pull themselves more to the white collective, like it always been in history, and that's not going to change anytime soon. I don't care how so-called pro-black, she wants to label herself, or she wears her natural hair with locks. So she has a non-black mate as her first baby daddy or maybe husband. That child's gonna more flock to whiteness. Simple as that. But did I get it right or wrong? What's your thoughts? Please leave your comments below in the section of this video. Hype this video up. And like I said, follow all my social media links down below in the description. Looking forward to reading this if it ever makes it to the comment section, or anybody has any opinions on it if they last this long. On that, thank y'all for watching this video. Like, comment, share, and subscribe to the Chaos Rain Shop. And until next time, and I mean next time, to the bottom of my heart, let us rain.
Man, all you hoes. You and your mammy and your granny too. I'm sick of this shit. All you hoes. Don't give a damn what you wanna do.
They like the chaos.
They like the chaos. So when you're able to
Chaos.
let that chaos reign with,
Chaos.
let that chaos reign with,
Chaos.
let that chaos reign with,
Must reign.